Hi, people. Welcome to, let's just see that's finished, yeah. Welcome to January's update on February the 4th. I think it's Super Bowl day in America. I'm praying for no false flags and safety for all. And I'll just start this update with prayer because shit got real. So I'm just going to say Psalm 91, really. We who dwell in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Together with my loved ones, I'll say of the Lord, He's our refuge and our fortress, our God, in Him will we trust. Surely He shall deliver us from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover us with His feathers, and under His wings shall we trust. His truth shall be our shield and buckler. We shall not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flies by day, nor for the deadly pestilence that walks in darkness, nor for the destruction that wastes at noonday. 1,000 may fall at our side, 10,000 at our right hand, but it shall not come near us. Only with our eyes shall we behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because we've made the Lord even our refuge, the Most High our habitation, there shall no evil befall us, neither shall any plague come near our dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over us to keep us in all our ways. They shall bear us up in their hands, lest we dash our foot against a stone. We shall tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the dragon shall we trample underfoot. Because they've set their love upon me, therefore I deliver them. I will, because they've set their love on me, therefore I will honour them. I'll be with them in trouble. I will deliver them in honor, and with long life will I satisfy them and show them my salvation. I just stumbled there a tiny bit, but you'll forgive me. Psalm 91. So this is going to be quite a long update, and there's going to be appendices. I've uploaded 6 parts of an extensive interview with somebody on a board of 5, consulted by Scotland Yard on the Hampstead case. So that's been a big part of my January. Took me 6.5 hours to get there the first time. It took me 6 hours to travel there the first time, 4.5 the second, and I spent a day or 2 each time working on this. I also had, I'm just trying to make my chair go up a bit. I also had 10 days recuperation break in January. God, here it is. Oops. Yeah, recuperation and break in January with no Wi-Fi and having to smoke outside. So it was like rehab. It wasn't rehab, but it felt like it, but it was very good for me. So in some ways it's been an intense month, and in other ways very enjoyable, says she. So my name is Angie, Angela Power Disney. I'm uploading this on my backup or smaller YouTube channel, which is Angie Power Disney. I'll also put this main update on my main channel, but the backup channel and the blog will have 4 of the 6 interview segments that I did with this person. And I'm working on some research points on the other 2. And it's really too much for one person, and so I welcome any support or input, whether technical or research, to do with the Hampstead case. I've been asked why I don't let it go. Even by my children, I've been asked that, and it's tempting. It's been 3 years now since the videos went viral. And it is tempting to say, do you know what, not my problem, too messy, going to move on, plenty of other problems in the world. But I just know, as a survivor myself, that a couple of times in my childhood, adults came close to uncovering what was going on behind closed doors and in hospitals and under drugging and in the military, where one moved every 3 years, so you never got too close to anybody, you never had friends home really very much. And so a couple of times adults got close to uncovering what was going on, and then it didn't happen. People moved on. So for me, and I know for a few other, probably many more than I'm aware of, it's not something you can let go of. When children risk everything to broadcast a cry for help and the help doesn't come, it's not something that you can very easily let go of. So yeah, so the links to 4 of the 6 interview segments are going to be in the description box. And the other 2 links are valuable, very valuable, but they need some further research. And also the names of 3 of the other 5 board members are on those links, and I don't have permission at this stage to release those names, although I will be making efforts to contact those people. So, yeah, so my name's Angie, Angela Power Disney YouTube channel, and the Angie Power Disney YouTube channel website, angelascaches.org. No apostrophe in there, all one word, Angela's Caches, C-A-C-H-E-S. And main daily blogging platform still, Facebook, Angela Power Disney. And I haven't really got going on Steam it yet. And cryptocurrency's taken a bit of a hammering, isn't it? Yeah, so I'm not an expert on that, so I won't go into that. I think I'll update you on individuals first before getting into the nuts and bolts of. I prayed for a breakthrough in the Hampstead case by February, because it marks 3 years since it really went public, and it's very disheartening when there seemed to be no progress, and so I prayed for a breakthrough, and I believe that's unfolding. Updates, let me see. Those of you that follow my work are aware that many people, many campaigners around the Hampstead case over the past 3 years have been arrested, sectioned, targeted, harassed, trolled, lambasted on websites, and so on and so forth. And this is still unfolding. So I suppose the most alarming thing is that another long-time Hampstead campaigner, who's also a survivor, which many are, many survivors resonated with the children's disclosures, even though I concede, in my opinion, there was a small amount of coaching. But for me, the bulk of what the children said is the truth and needs properly investigating. But anyway, another long-term campaigner, also a survivor, was arrested, and she, like many survivors, like myself included, suffers from complex post-traumatic stress disorder. She was not anticipating an arrest. She was told, you are looking at 6 months on remand, which means in jail before any investigation or trial. Then you're looking at 5 to 10 years in prison. So we strongly recommend you cop a caution. So if you'd like to come with us down to the station, we'll take your plea to harassment, I believe, and then everything will be fine. Just stop talking about it. And in a state of alarm and anxiety, that's exactly what this campaigner did. Went to the station, copped a caution, thought it wasn't too serious. Did her very best to educate the interviewing police officers who had said that it was Central London had given them strict instructions to come and arrest her, and they started from a premise of the father is absolutely innocent without a doubt, and this is outrageous. And by the end of the, I don't know, was it 2-3 hours, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, she was in a cell for a while. They were very much alarmed that things were not as cut and dried as had been presented to them. But nevertheless, they elicited a caution under what I would say was duress, under intimidation, entrapment almost, because you cannot just go as a policeman or woman and say you're looking at 6 months on remand and 5 to 10 years in jail if you don't do as we say and plea. So then this campaigner discovered, after having thought a caution wouldn't be so bad, and it was an opportunity to educate the regional police to evidence that seemed to have not been properly examined, then discovered that the caution, she was popped in front of a magistrate ever so quickly. It was all very civilised, as it sometimes is when children are taken. The social workers can be smiling and saying, you're doing the right thing and this is best for the child and so on. And it's only with delayed reaction that you get the trauma and the horror of what's just happened and what you've been induced to sign or to cooperate with. It can be quite subtle. So popped in front of a magistrate, found guilty of harassment, I think it was, cautioned and gagged, and then discovered that criminal record would exclude her from visiting her child who lives in America. And then also, as the cold light of day, and she got over the trauma of remembering being locked up as a child and being triggered into flashbacks, as the dust cleared, she realized that she had been had, basically. So I really wish her well in her now legal attempt to overturn that plea. It is a scary thing to be frightened and told you're looking at jail time and you're in big trouble and you're looking at this and we're going to lock you up and and so on and so forth, especially given that there have been people jailed throughout this case and sectioned and harassed and intimidated and so on. So I'm not judging anybody. I wouldn't like to be in that position, and I wouldn't like to predict how I would act. Fear is something that's common to most human beings, no matter how brave we think we are. So, but what really occurred to me was regarding survivors. You've spent your childhood, if you've been abused in childhood, which is my main field of work, which is exposing child abuse and trying to creating a safer world for children with so many others that have that commitment. But you will have spent your childhood afraid to speak out. You will have been threatened, if you tell anybody, so-and-so will die, or you'll go to an orphanage, or you'll be in big trouble, or nobody will believe you. And so when, as an adult, if you start healing sufficiently to find your voice and say, no, I need to tell someone this is probably happening to others, and that's just childish threats that I've been living in fear of. But then it seems like the state is now acting as the paedophile did. If you say anything, you're in big trouble. You're not allowed to talk about this. You've got to stay quiet or you're in trouble. So it's almost like a re-traumatization. I've been spending some time with somebody and going through legal documents, and there's actually documented a case where, and this was to do with, I think, a child, social services taking a child, and a family had gone to their parish priest and begged for prayer and support and help through the trauma of fighting to get their child back. And the priest put a notice in the newsletter, parish newsletter, asking the community of the parish to pray for a family that was going through trauma with social services regarding their children. The parish priest was threatened with imprisonment for contempt of court, for breaching secrecy. And the parish priest was given a severe warning, and that was deemed to be illegal to even ask your parish priest to pray and to even confide in your parish priest about something that was subject to a gagging order. So, you know, the secret family courts are just, in my opinion, the antithesis of an avenue to justice for abused children and traumatized adults, you know, in danger of losing their children. So that's that person. I believe Terry May introduced new quote unquote fake news laws, which are giving rise to great glee on the part of people that have a vested interest in secrecy. And so the other thing that this campaigner was told was, oh, there are going to be thousands of arrests across the country for people in your position. You're very lucky to just get away with the caution. You know, we have sweeping new powers to arrest anybody saying anything that we've said they're not allowed to. So it really is 1984, shocking totalitarian censorship under the guise of doing a favour. You know, even in Ireland, it's always sugar coated. So, for instance, you get a children's rights law, which says, oh, children have the right to ABC. But what it actually means is that the state is stepping in to defend and argue the children's rights and whether they've been breached or not, and confiscate them. So it's a sort of Orwellian strategy over decades to break up the family unit and have children be property of the state. Another update is Artie, Arthur Chabel Catal, who was sectioned in Australia for, amongst other things, speaking out about satanic ritual abuse, including the allegations made by the Hampstead children. Now, I feel a bit bad because I started getting viciously trolled again a few days ago, and Artie's one of these real sort of he-men, you know, and he's amongst other people said, if you get trolled, you know, call me, like, you know. So I did in cyberspace. I said, Artie, here they are. And the poor guy comes in like a Australian rugby player, like hoo 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 hoo, he ha hoo, you know, all that stuff they do on the rugby pitch. So he comes in all guns blazing to get these two trolls to back off, who are lying and being quite malicious, and have since sent nasty messages saying my dead sister would be ashamed of me. In fact, she is, and you know, I'm a vile, despicable human being, and can't wait till you're locked up, and abuse, very abusive. And so I'd sent out a call for Artie, and he came steaming in and like used some cuss words and like, you effing with Angela Power Disney, and called them a choice name, and promptly got a 30-day ban, and also got you know, got trolled himself. You know, this is not for the faint-hearted. The front line of fighting secrecy and abuse, especially ritual abuse, is not for the faint-hearted. It really isn't. But so I apologise. You know, next time I say help, please do it within the bounds of keeping yourself safe. But I'll give you the update. He did give me an update, and he is working his way through the incarceration, and he's also taking responsibility for addiction. You know, it's not all about trolls getting us locked up. One of the expert things they do is find your weakness. You know, we're all human, so find a weak spot and then exploit it. So I'll give you this, I'll read you the update that Artie gave me. And it's been a long time since he was sectioned. A long time. It's coming up a year. But I'll read you this. He says, just a rundown on where I'm at for your update. I'm currently in the independent rehab cottages. I'm allowed to have my phone. I have 8 hours leave a day with family. Realistically, I should be out in the next 3 months, so it will have been a year, where I'll be heading to Thailand for a 6-week boot camp. I don't know what the context of the boot camp is. Sounds good. And then Peru for a 45-day ayahuasca retreat. And I said to Artie, I'm not a big fan of the ayahuasca route for healing, but some people are. So, you know, to each their own. It's no hidden secret that I have an addiction to illegal substances. So yeah, that's a man. That's somebody that's, you know, to fess up to their part in things. I think that's phenomenal. I'm doing my best to overcome my demons, and I'm hoping this journey I'm embarking on will help me defeat them. On returning to Australia, I want to then head to India, the Middle East. He's from the Lebanon. His family's from the Lebanon originally. The Holy Land especially. And I'll do my best to get into the UK if I can get a visa. That's it, Angie. That's my situation and my plans for 2018. So it's great that Artie's making plans and still passionately committed to creating a safe world for children, still outraged to the core of his being about abuse. Jake, also, I've been in touch with Jake, but I haven't in the last 2 or 3 days. I noticed I did my twice-a-year checkup on Hoaxstead about 10 days ago, and I noticed they're sort of going for him again. So I'm hoping he's not suffering. Because these people, these trolls, they are very organized and very nasty, very not afraid to play dirty whatsoever. It's like classic textbook of the leaked documents for GCHQ and the CIA in terms of discredit, destroy. You know, there's D&D, discredit and destroy. So yeah, it's tough. Also, I think people were aware that Sabine is out on £20,000 bail, which is just, you know, the coppers that made the arrest out in the counties were shocked and horrified that a 74-year-old had to raise 20,000 bail for campaigning. But that's just what happened. And I think her case is scheduled for November, a huge affair with barristers and silks and vast expense to the taxpayer. Just an ongoing charade. I don't know what else to say. For anybody following this work or this case, oh yeah, the other big news is Rupert's back in America. He was finally released, I think, the 22nd of January, having served half of his 9-month term in a UK jail for daring to come to the UK to investigate and report in a very sort of gung-ho American style, but nonetheless paid a very high price for that. I did get trolling messages saying he's given an interview to Ed Opperman. Good, if he does, that's great. And I was misquoted on Hoaxstead. I just said that I'm a peaceable person unless I'm wronged, in which case I'll come out fighting. And that was twisted considerably. But, you know, so Rupert's back home, and that's all I know. I got an email, but I missed it. I was on my 10-day no Wi-Fi retreat. I got an email just, but nothing of any substance. So I wish him well. Another thing, yeah, so I was going to say, for those that follow this case and this subject, child sexual abuse, particularly satanic ritual abuse, particularly pedophile rings, particularly cover-ups that go to government level or even are part of a circuit, including Portugal and America and Spain and London, and there is a global party circuit for elite pedophiles. I'm sorry, but there just is. But for those of you, I would highly recommend that you listen to the 4 sections of interview that I did with this person that was consulted by Scotland Yard on the Hampstead case with a board. I think there were 5 members on the board. Listen to them in detail. They're not flashy video presented. That I didn't show the person's face, although he's pretty clear. He can be identified by those that have a commitment to do so. But so it's not a flashy presentation, but it's dynamite information on those 4 videos. And if anybody can clarify the information or add to it or challenge it or whatever, please do. The other big news, which is already been leaked on Hoaxstead, is that I am severing ties, if any. I did work with Belinda and Sabine quite a lot at the beginning of this journey. I have stayed in Belinda's home. I have blogged in support of Sabine being bailed, and I've defended them both against criticism. But I've actually reached the end of the road on that. I had a very in-depth discussion with a decades-long campaigner and survivor of the children home abuse in the UK, who sent me links showing that a very good friend of Roger Cleaver, I think his name is, the Bishop of Medway, self-styled Bishop of Medway, and chronic pedophile, and quite possibly one of the dirty dozen back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, snuff movies, child trafficking, boy raping, pimping, just horrors. And that his very good friend Terence Ewing was actually a Mackenzie friend, and I was sent photographs with Belinda and Sabine with him and hailing him as a star Mackenzie friend. And I think that's since been wiped from, but there is always, the way to save these documents and photographs. It's not photoshopped, it's genuine. So I go into detail on, I think it's part 2 or part 3 of the interview sections with Joe, where I go into detail as to why I'm severing connections with Belinda Mackenzie by association and default, Sabine, and the Mackenzie friends. I did give Belinda the opportunity. I sent her the link featuring herself, Sabine, and Terence Ewing, and asking her if she could explain it to me. I didn't receive a response. I also did some more research on the Iran Aid charity that Belinda was involved with, and it's not as it's not pretty. It's not pretty. So it's not for me to judge, but I certainly can choose with whom I work and associate, and I'm choosing to step back from that association. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else I've left out. We've got Jake, Artie, our other campaigner. We've got Rupert gone home. There were many more arrests. Yeah, I'm very late to the party in expressing condolences to the family of Miriam McMahon. I had flagged on Facebook that nobody had heard from her, but when I disclosed about a year ago that I believed the mother to have been complicit in the children's abuse in the Hampstead case, a lot of diehard Hampstead campaigners cut ties with me. which is their choice. They're allowed to do that. So, but I was very sad to hear that Maria passed on, and she had done lovely things like painting the children's names on beautiful stones, Google G and A, and then just laying them in parks and so on for people to find. So many people have done so much, and as I say, I'm being told, oh, it's over now, walk away, it's too dangerous, it's old news. And as I say, I wish, as a survivor, that any adults that had had a clue that things were not as they should be in my life, my sisters' lives, I wish at least a handful of them had said, no, I can't walk away, something's not right. So the synopsis of what I was told by this board member of a committee of 5 that was consulted for expert analysis and opinion on the Hampstead videos. I'll give you a synopsis, and then, as I say, you will see the details unfold in the actual audio recordings. The synopsis was, I'll try and give you the point, it's quite triggering, it's quite upsetting. The synopsis was that the children's fingernails were of varying lengths in the video disclosures, indicating that possibly disclosures were taken over a period longer than 3 to 5 weeks, which is what most people have understood, which was the month in Morocco and then the first few days of September. So that was one thing, that it was possible that the disclosures were recorded over a much longer period than initially thought. Another thing was that, and this is really shocking, that the children featured in child pornography on the dark web likely during the time when they were only in the custody of the mother and boyfriend. And this is based on evidence on the dark web of the children featuring in child porn in the exact same clothing that they were wearing in some of the disclosure videos, including a little mark on the t-shirt and so on and so forth. Hugely, hugely disturbing confirmation that the children feature in child pornography distributed worldwide, but hugely disturbing that the evidence indicated that this included the time when they were in Morocco with just the mother and the boyfriend, or back in London, but with the father not having contact in early September. So my question is to the authorities, if you have this proof that these children featured in child pornography, why is the investigation closed and why has nobody been arrested? Even if it's an Interpol warrant, it's not acceptable that 2 children that disclosed and are found to be featuring in child pornography on the dark web, why is it acceptable that we don't talk about it anymore, everything's fine, move along, please? It's not acceptable. The other points were, there was the person I met with who agreed to my challenge to look at the evidence and share his evidence as presented to him, conceded that they may have got things wrong in terms of finding the father innocent and framed. He would not budge, however, on the mother being complicit in the children's abuse and prostitution and so on and so forth. He wouldn't budge on that. I need some research partners to go into. He gave me some names and some organizations and what they regarded as evidence that the mother was guilty of pathogenic parenting, piranha parenting, abusing the children and setting them up to frame somebody else for the abuse. And he mentioned Gloria's Children, which and another organisation. He gave. I'll share these as I do some research on them and put this forward, because none of this is being presented as fact. Because I try and work to the biblical principle where if a thing is confirmed in the mouths of 2 or 3 witnesses, a thing is confirmed. And at the moment, I've just made contact with one of these 5 board members, and I'm hoping to make contact with at least one more. And to have a civilized exchange of evidence and research to not abandon these children, even if nothing I believe and nothing the board believes, if they have evidence that the children featured in child pornography, they have a duty of care to those children to continue to investigate and to make arrests. I was informed that far more investigation went into the case after the 12-day quote-unquote fact-finding mission, possibly because of the amount of stink we all kicked up. I was informed that it was not possible that passageways between school and church were blocked up because the cement was 200 years old and the bolts were 200 years old and so on and so forth. I was informed that some technology of some of the alleged abusers was analysed. It's interesting that in terms of whistleblowers and campaigners, everything would be confiscated: phone, laptop, iPad, memory stick, hard drive, PC, the whole lot taken for up to a year and deep analysed. And yet I'm told that just a random sampling of here a laptop, there a phone was taken and analysed of the alleged abusers, you know, presumably without sufficient evidence to convict. But I know if one looks back to the McMartin case and the Franklin cover-up and the Dutroux affair, it's so easy to manipulate evidence, even amongst compartmentalized experts that are, so say, consulted on the case. And this was a suggestion I made, was that perhaps the person I've done work with in other cases was specifically asked to give an opinion because his field of expertise is parental alienation of parents and specifically fathers. So he did say that after his initial analysis and report, he had further questions to pose to Scotland Yard, and that he got inadequate responses. And at that point, he felt his job was done, and he recommended the other board members who took it forward and interviewed and worked with the children. And one was actually flown over from the States. A professor was actually flown over from America to work with the children. The 3 levels of reports I've had over the last 6 or so months. One was that somebody in Barnet Social Services allegedly said that the children were in foster care, they were doing well, they were consistently expressing that they didn't want to go on contact meetings with their father. And after a broadcast I did with Heather Brown, who may or may not have been a plant, I don't know, but after one of the videos we made, apparently apparently some concessions were made, and the children, the word I got was that the children were no longer being forced to go on contact meetings with their father, you know, based on a law. I think we're talking over 3 years. They were 8 and 9, so 11 and 12 now, and you know, at some point the children's wishes have to kick in. But we're talking massive mind control, trauma-based mind control, trauma bonding, fear, terrorization, you know, so on and so forth. I have got the document of the IPCC response where they say that they agree that it appeared that DC Steve Martin, they agree that DC Steve Martin appeared to be leading the children in the retractions. I've got that document. But the IPCC, the Independent Police Complaints Commission, they don't seem to have much teeth. They don't seem to, it's a bit like these inquiries. They don't have any legal power. They can make recommendations, you know. They don't seem to have much teeth. So, so when the questions weren't adequately answered. Oh, the other thing that was a feature after this person was consulted, a rash of so-say witnesses were presented for him to also interview. And he said over 100 witnesses apparently came forward saying, oh yes, the children are telling the truth, the children are telling the truth. But it muddied the water, and many of those witness testimonies were found to have holes in them. But that could just as easily be a deliberate muddy the waters operation. You know, it's so hard in this day and age to disseminate truth and to discern truth from COINTELPRO or psychological operations, or it's, you know, who needs guns in this day and age with warfare? It's all done with the mind and with manipulation of evidence and so on and so forth. So I think that's the nuts and bolts. I'm trying to think if there's any. He talked about Gloria's children. He talked about two other women, what they would regard as terrorists. He talked about a network, a global network, where one would pay up to $6,000 a year to be helped to frame an ex-husband or an ex-partner, to get the right judge, to present evidence in the right way, and so on. He also gave me a very poignant example of where a mother actually had abused her own daughter and then said the father did it, and the father got put in jail for it. And the daughter, when she turned 18, ran away and disclosed the truth, and the father was released from jail, and I think the mother's being currently prosecuted. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying I'm just presenting to you what I've been told. The other very disturbing to me, oh yes, I was saying to you, so the first report I got was that the Barnet Social Services were going to honour the children's wishes not to have contact. The next report I got, well, it was always ongoing that the father was having unsupervised access. And the most recent report I've had, which again is not yet corroborated, was that the father now has full custody and has the children with him in America. At first it was said, oh, Los Angeles could equally be San Francisco or New York. I don't know. He did video link-ups. He's behind a lot of these prosecutions where he's claiming traumatic harassment, you know, and has an excitable goal to get everybody that's ever uttered his name in terms of believing the children, to get them behind bars as far as he's concerned. But the very bizarre thing is that, you know, again, something that was set up for the benefit of children, which is the possibility to provide evidence on video links so as not to be re-traumatized, is being exploited by the alleged abusers. You know, they're appearing behind screens or by video link, and they're presenting as the victims. It's quite, talk about inversion, it's quite shockingly just bizarre. So Ricky Dearman has been giving video link evidence from allegedly America and allegedly in full custody of the children. So that alarms me, and the fact that the Scotland Yard investigation has proof that the children featured on child pornography, possibly still are, and for the case to be closed, it's just not acceptable. So it's not a great good news update. I'm sorry about that. And it is a call you know, especially given these new laws of, you know, thousands are going to be arrested now for fake news, and you know, it's instead of retreating in fear and intimidation, we need to step up our game in terms of anybody who's sitting on information and just thought, you know, my little bit of information is not important, or there's plenty of people fighting that corner, or you know, it's too scary to come forward. Now would be a good time to actually come forward, because the more people that are brave enough to speak the truth in the face of fear and intimidation, you get to the 100th monkey stage where, you know, it's impossible to arrest thousands of us. And given that millions viewed the children's testimonies and were devastated, there has to be thousands brave enough to add their truth to the story. And just to finish up, that Joe did a demonstration for me of how, if we only listen to disclosures from a position of emotionalism, we can add things that are not there. And Joe said this demonstration just happened. I think it was just within the family setting. His wife is a wonderful cook, and she's got these beautiful old cast iron skillets, you know, that just wonderful to cook in. I don't know if you're aware of that, but he was mopping the oil from a skillet that had cooked the lunch in, and then got distracted, and then told his son, finish soaking the oil and then you can give it to the dog, like rice paper soaked in oil that had a beautiful dinner cooked in it, and so on and so forth. But the way he relayed it demonstrated that one can make a truth seem to be something absolutely different. So the way he relayed it to me to make his point, because instead of paper towel, kitchen towel, he'd used toilet tissue because there was no kitchen towel. So the way he relayed it to me to make the point was, I used some toilet paper and then I put it on the kitchen counter, and then I told my son to use it again, and then we fed it to the dog. Well, obviously, told like that, you think perversion, torture, horror. And then when he broke it down and said no, and he took me to the kitchen and showed me the skillet, I was so, you know, wiping the oil with the toilet tissue rather than paper towel, and then my son finished the job, and then we tore off some little bits of it and let the dog eat it. I'm not sure about giving the dog paper, but that's not the point. The point of it was that if we listen to something without all the facts and we add in an emotional translation, we can make something completely different from what it was. And finally, as I say, watch it. You may need to take a week digesting this plus the 4 interview sections, and as I say, I'm working on the other 2, hoping to meet with other board members, hoping to do some more research on you know, if Gloria's children is Gloria Musa, then I'm not going along with that being a brood of females that want to frame men. No, that doesn't add up. But there were much more details given to me, which I will hopefully find another researcher to go deep with, you know, as well as myself. So do listen to those 4. I ongoingly hope to find an editor, but in the meantime, no frills, just truth as I see it, as I report it, and prayers for the children. And I'll just end with this. This was a beautiful gift given to me. I'm not one for trinkets and idolatry and repetitive prayers, but I was given this beautiful, it's actually a Protestant rosary bead. It's not a Hail Mary thing, it's the cruciform, and it's biblical scriptures. I'll share it on another video and link you to the website. But it was just a beautiful gift to be given. I wear it as a bracelet, and it's handmade. And What else was I going to say about that? It's handmade, and it's yeah. I don't believe in repetitive prayers for the sake of it. I don't. Oh, I know what I was going to say. It reminded me. I knew a lot of Arabs in the late 70s when I worked for Bank of Credit and Commerce International in London, and they used to have. I don't know what they're called, but Muslims. I would call them worry beads. So you'd have these like high flying businessmen, working in the West End, and they'd be doing this, with whatever they call it. So they're Catholic rosary beads, there are Muslim worry beads, and this is a Protestant cruciform rosary bead, and very beautiful and very, very grateful I am for the gift. Thank you. So that's it. I, for one, can't close the book on Hampstead. I am only interested in the truth. I'm not interested in malice. Yeah, just, I can't say more than that. I can't let it go. And I'm interested in the truth, even if it's not as cut and dried or pleasant or tidy as we'd like it to be. So that's it. Thanks for listening. Please share this. Oh, and finally, just there's so much. I need to broadcast more than once a month is the bottom line, and I should be able to recover in my health and stable in freezing cold Ireland. The other thing is the plenary summons against the state in Ireland for fraud upon the court has been formally accepted. There's a letter. I've had sight of the letter. I need to produce the legal jargon for that and show the redacted letter of acceptance for that. So that's another proceeding in the court, which gives us some hope. So have a great Super Bowl day if you're in America, and if I've got the right day. And I think Ireland beat France in rugby yesterday. And my boys are watching soccer. So what are you going to do? All right. Thanks, people. And God bless.